I want to introduce our next presenters, Dr. Michael Allen and James Heaton. I got to know these guys about a year and a half ago or so. Went to their course. They're from an organization called Smile Trend, and they both are practicing full-time dentists, and I'm sure they're going to tell more about their story tonight. I don't want to get into that, but at their course, I was incredibly impressed by who they are, what they taught, and I thought immediately at the course, I was like, man, these guys could provide a lot of value for our members of Elevation Association. So I finally got the guts to ask them to come and present, and after begging, they finally said yes and are here to join us tonight. And so I am going to turn the time and the mic over to these guys.
Cool, thank you. Thank you. I just want to say that I instantly have mad respect for everybody who has presented here because my hand is so sweaty, this microphone might fall right out. How are you holding both of these? I don't understand that. I've never lectured with anything in my hand other than one of these before, so this is going to be interesting. Hopefully, I actually asked them to mic me up, but they said it's not as good. I'm going to miss this view. This has been amazing waking up to this every morning. It is crazy, but James and I are super excited to be here. Quick story here. When I was applying for dental school, I was living up in Utah. I applied to 15 schools, and you know how it works. They give you a secondary application. You send them $50 or $100, and as soon as they get that, they send you, oh, sorry, we're all full. And so that happened to me with 14 of those schools, except for one. I got an interview at one, and I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to nail the interview. I'm going to get into dental school there. I flew. It was actually in Arizona, in my hometown. And so I flew back to Arizona, stayed with my parents, went and just nailed the interview. I knew there was no way they could deny me. There was zero chance they could deny me. And so like 2 or 3 days afterwards, I got the call from ATSU. And they said, we really liked you. You did a great job of the interview. We're going to put you on our waiting list. You're going to be 5th on our waiting list. And this was literally like 2 months before school. And I was like, well, it's not going to happen. I'm probably not going to get into dental school. And so I worked at the time at CRA. Does anybody know what that is? Now it's called Clinician's Report, Gordon Christensen's place. And I worked really closely with his wife, Rella, and she did some weird stuff. But anyways, she at the next day at work, she said, hey, how did the interview go? I said, oh, it went really, really good. They put me 5th on the waiting list. She's like, well, who did you talk to? And I named a few names. She's like, you'll get in. Just give me a couple of days. You'll get in. And so literally the next day I got a call from the dean. He's like, congratulations, you got in. And so I learned from a very young age that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And 100% of life is that way. And thankfully, James and I know Jared Hill, and he calls us up or DMs us or texts us like 2 months ago. And he's like, James, Mike, I will pay you $20,000 to come down to Nicaragua and speak to the people there. And James like, I don't know, Mike. I'm like, James, it's 20 grand and they're surfing. And so it was, okay, we're good. So we're thankful to be here. You guys put on an excellent show here. Honestly, the speakers have been great. I've never seen an AV team like this. I've been to a lot of places. I've never seen an AV team like this. This is incredible. The food is good. The weather is good. I'm getting tan. I'm happy. I mean, this has been great.
Jared and Mike are both lying. None of that happened. This is how it happened. Hey, Mike, I'm putting together a surfing trip to, I'm in. Yeah. That's it. That's all it took.
That's pretty much. That is true. I do love to surf. James is taller than you. He requires more space and more legroom on the airplane. Anyway, no, Elevation Association, this is really our baptism into it, and I really like a lot of what you guys are doing. It really actually aligns very, very well with what James and I talk about. It just takes it toward the leadership route as opposed to the clinical route, which is what we mostly do. So what is it? What do we do? That's a good question, right? So this is the way me and James had known each other for a few years. We were in a mastermind group with Brian Harris. A few of you know who that is. We were never friends, but we had talked, and I had been posting a lot of pictures on Instagram, and I got probably 20 people saying, hey, when are you going to teach a course? When are you going to teach a course? And so it was like August of 22, and I decided I was going to have a class, but I needed somewhere to have the class at. And I knew James had a really beautiful office that he had just built. And so I called James up. I said, James, do you want to teach a class with me? He's like, no, I'm kind of going to do my own thing. I plan on doing my own online course. And that's the only selfish thing he's ever said to me. He's like, no, I don't want in. He's really a very giving, very abundant person. And so I did the next selfish thing. I said, well, can I use your office anyways? And he's like, absolutely.
Never hurts to ask, right?
Yeah, he's like, absolutely, you can use my office. And so I had 10 people in James's break room because he had a really nice 55-inch screen TV. And it was a table, it's maybe not quite that long, but there was 10 doctors came. Most of them were friends or very tight acquaintances of mine. And we sat around his break room table and talked cosmetic dentistry. Well, James sat in the back by the garbage can, and he was like, Mike, actually, and so he would put in his 2 cents, and it worked really great. It was a really, really good back and forth. And so that day went on, and then the next day, and then I called James to thank him, and he's like, Mike, you know what? We could do some awesome things together. He's like, you had 10 people at your class, and if each of them goes back and treats 10 patients, that's 100 patients that you had impact on. I think if we do this, we could impact thousands and thousands of patients. It was never, Mike, let's go make a ton of money. Mike, let's look like superheroes in the cosmetic field. It was never even crossed his mind. Crossed my mind, didn't cross his mind. And so that's how Smile Trends started. And then we had our first class in June of 23, so not quite 2 years ago. And that was like 19 of our closest friends came to that. They supported us from the get-go. And then over the last 2 years, we've had probably over 450 people come through our classes, and we'll probably double or triple that this year. But this is one of our first classes.
There's Jared.
There's Jared in the back right there. This was a great class, actually. There's a bunch of studs in this class. So this is what we do now. We teach cosmetic dentistry with an emphasis on excellence. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And so that's what we're trying to teach people is it's all about excellence. Now, Smile Trend has kind of taken on a mind of its own, so we're really grateful that we have our spouses are fully supportive most of the time with what we're doing. You women who have husbands that get into weird endeavors can understand that. But they like taking vacations in Nicaragua, so it all works out, right? We get paid $20,000, they can come along with us. We only have one employee, and that's Ashley, and Ashley is not the main character. This is my granddaughter, Lennon, and so she's had a baby. This is our last class that she brought the baby to, and we're really excited. We're having another one this next week. So she's our only employee, and she is in charge of a lot of things, including the swag. So let me just explain this to you. Hopefully I have a shirt for everybody, because this added like 30 pounds to my luggage. This is the first time my luggage has ever been heavier than Sarah's. We pass these out to our class. We have like 75 people that are in groups of ours. We mail these out. One of the ladies sees this, and it actually has the washing instructions on the front. She's like, thanks for the swag. I don't think you meant to put the washing instructions on the front. Well, Ashley did mean to put the washing. This is trending. So Smile Trend. This is trendy shirts here. And so please take one and go for it. But that's Smile Trend. Like that's what we like to do, and we like to teach cosmetic dentistry, and we like to connect with people. And so it's been really, really good for us, and we feel like it's been really, really good for the community of dentists, because we've gotten into some other stuff that we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Okay.
I'll hold it. I got you.
WTM. So I want everybody to write that down somewhere in your notebook, probably in the back, a page that you can easily access, and you actually might already have. Once you realize what WTM is, you might already have that page, so maybe just you can put WTM on the top of it. But let me tell you guys what WTM actually means. There's a little bit of a story behind it, and we'll help you realize why that's so important to Smile Trend. So this is my daughter's the girl. She's 16 now. She's a girl with the pink shirt right in the middle. Yep, right there. That's Lexi. She's a big-time volleyball player, and before she was 16, now she can drive everywhere, and she's like, this week she's taking my kids to football practice and baseball practice. It's glorious. But before she turned 16, I used to pick this girl up from volleyball practice all the time. And usually a bunch of our friends needed to ride home too, because they were all 15. Well, one night I pull up to Highland High School, and 4 girls jump in my car, and it's like 9 o'clock at night, and it's like a Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a party night. It's a Tuesday. And my daughter jumps in, she's like, Dad, WTM. I'm like, dude, I don't know your lingo. I don't know what that means. And she said, what's the move? What are we gonna do? And then all of our friends are like, yeah, WTM. And like, I got a little bit caught up in the moment. I'm not going to lie.
James wants to be the cool dad.
I do want to be the cool dad. I really do. And my teenager was making me cool and for her friends, whatever. I was like, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? You want to go to Swig? Should we go buy some cookies? I don't know. WTM. So anyway, we started using this in our family. So like when we had a big decision to make, just WTM. Everybody knows what that means. Like, hey, let's sit down. Let's figure out what our options are and let's make a decision. And so what I want you guys to do is write WTM on your page that is like your Monday morning to-do list. What's your move after this course? And we're going to share some things with you guys today that might make you rethink some of the things that you're currently doing, possibly, maybe not. And maybe you've already had, I would imagine, we've had some unbelievable speakers. And so I'd imagine you've already had some WTM moments where you've really written some things down that you can do differently. So that's what WTM is all about. So I want to share a little story with you guys, probably one of my biggest WTM moments. August 26, 2021, I was working 3 days a week. It was a Thursday, so I was literally sitting at home on my couch doing some business. And about 10 o'clock in the morning, I get a frantic call from my office manager. Some of you know the story. Jared, you know the story, right? Because you came to my course. Some of you probably don't, but go ahead and switch that over. This is a video. That's my roof going 300 feet in the air. 300 feet. Those pieces of plywood came floating back down and like stuck in my employees' cars. It was the most insane thing you've ever heard of. So this is kind of a video of the roof. There's where the roof is missing. My office is like right here.
Everybody's always wanted a convertible office. James just made it happen.
Pretty wild day. I think there's another video of what it looked like from the back.
Oh, yeah.
This is a video that got captured from the backside.
Yeah.
Like it was a giant fireball. Fortunately for us, my office only took the percussion of all that. So the fireball kind of stopped literally right before my office. And my office was the only suite, that was like loaded with people. Team members, doctors, patients. It was absolutely wild. 2 months prior to that explosion, in between me and that ball of fire that you saw, there was like a Head Start program that usually had 15 to 20 little tiny kids in it. It would have been right in the middle of that ball of fire, and they moved their office 2 months before. It's like the most incredible thing. Anyway, so the reason this became a WTM for me, first off, nobody knows what to do. Nobody wrote that book yet. Like I should write it probably. Here's what you do when your office is completely incapacitated and you can't get back in and get lab cases. You don't have your internal software. You don't have your computers. You have nothing. I need to write that book. Here's what you do, because the book doesn't exist. I think you can switch to the next slide, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
It was a gas leak. Yeah, it was a gas leak.
That's the optical.
So this is the eyeglass store. It was 2 suites away from me. It sat like right in here somewhere. And then there's a printing office at the end. So that's the eyeglass store. You can see it got hit by the fireball. This is my office, so everything's not singed and seared by the fire. But it like separated all my walls, blew out my windows. All the ceiling tiles came crashing down on us. So I'll tell you, when my office manager called me, she said the office blew up. That's what I was always hoping she would call me and say. It's not what I expected. So I obviously drive 1,000,000 miles an hour, get to my office, and I get there, and my biggest concern is making sure everybody gets home safely, because everybody's cars were incapacitated, and I had to make sure my patients could get home, all that stuff. And once I'd taken care of all that, and I'd done an interview with the chief of police, all that stuff, told them what I knew, I was inside of the area they had roped off, and I remember I sat down on this curb, and I'm staring at my office, and you guys know how you feel about your offices, right? It's your baby. It's your life. You put so much blood, sweat, and tears into that. And I'm sitting on this curb, and I'm just watching water from the sprinklers just pour onto my office. All the windows are blown out. It felt like life had ended, right? I'll never forget this moment. Not gonna lie, I cried a little bit. It was wild. It was a wild moment. So I did what anybody would do. I got up and I started talking to everybody I knew who was kind of in that industry, in the insurance industry, who'd been through something kind of rough like that. And honestly, you guys might be surprised by the advice I got. The advice I got from most people was, you need to just sit on this. Like whatever income you were making, the insurance is going to keep making that income for a while. And at the time, I felt like I was really starting to take off with cosmetics and Instagram and all that stuff. It was really taking off. And most of the advice I got was like, hey, just sit on this. Don't be in a hurry to get anything built back up. And, I talked to my wife about it, and we had our WTM moment. Like, is that really the move for us to like not do anything and just like go live in Hawaii for a year or two and let the insurance pay us money?
Yes.
It didn't align with us at all. We honestly didn't even really consider it. We talked about it, but we didn't really consider it. And we decided to pick up the pieces. I had a most incredible team around me, and within 2 weeks, we had temporary offices, and we lived in giant rolling carts, computers and all. We had a root canal cart, we had a denture cart, we had a restorative cart. It was the craziest thing you ever seen. And we made it work until we could build out an office. And had we not chosen that, like, Smile Trend wouldn't exist. Like, Mike and I feel like we're able to impact a lot of lives, not just the dentists that we get to teach. And Molly's gonna tell us some stories here in just a minute, but like all the patients that they're gonna treat throughout their life with veneers are gonna get it done correctly and in a high-end, gorgeous way. And we love that we get to have that impact.
Yeah, I've certainly benefited from James making that move. For sure. I mean, I've treated plenty of patients in this office. I've held many courses in this office because James decided he wasn't gonna sit still and take the money. But he would move on, build his practice forward, and keep going from there. Beautiful office he built. Beautiful.
Sometimes Mike is doing veneers in my office, and I don't even know he's there.
Yeah, like Friday.
Last Friday. Go back to that picture. So this is kind of our main operatory. So this is Smile Trend up here, and we built this room big enough that we could get like 15 to 20 doctors in there. And it's also where we take all of our like video and photography. So we built this out to make Smile Trend a reality. This is just a cool picture. This is so within my office, I have 2 operatories as part of the Smile Studio. This is my Jordan clock. The 1 o'clock is the Jordan 1, the 2 o'clock is the Jordan 2, all the way to Jordan 12.
James is a junkie, kind of
fun.
Kind of a shoe junkie. This is actually the first time I think I've ever seen you wear flip-flops, James.
Are those like
$2,000 flip-flops like the rest of your shoes?
No, I've never presented in flip-flops and my hat on backwards. This is new and fun. I like this.
Yeah.
There's just kind of our waiting room. Okay, the best way for you to predict the future is to create it. I actually thought about putting a giant James Heaton down here and make Marcus Aurelius a little bit smaller. Taking that tip next time, Ryan. But that really is a powerful quote, and that's what WTM became for us. Like, we felt like we were on the edge of doing something really great, and we were kind of given an easy way out to just get easy money for a couple of years, and it didn't align with us. We kept chasing our dreams. Our WTM was to keep chasing our dreams, and it's been pretty awesome for the last 3 years. Okay, so this is a story that I don't need to preface. Like, honestly, it's crazy how much this weekend you guys have talked about the things that Mike and I are kind of passionate about. And one of those is just dentists experiencing burnout. You guys all know that guy. You guys might be that guy right now. You might have been that guy at some point. So really quick story. I went to a concert with my daughter and her friend and her dad. On the way there, I'd never really met the guy. On the way there, he's talking about being a dentist. And you already know the story before I tell it, right? He works by himself. He's super burned out and he can't wait to retire. We all know that story. And I think that most dentists exist and live in that story. He told me he literally can't wait to be done.
Yeah, what's the number one question you guys get? Is that true?
I'm close.
Yeah.
I'm personally
Would you believe that there's not very many photos of you online? There's plenty of Ryan, some of them in compromising situations. Yeah.
Hey, let's change it. Let's start posting pictures of Matt.
I feel like we need to. But yeah, no, like dentists all just want to. They want to be done. I want to get out. I'm burnt out. I want to get out.
We don't know if you actually said that. But we're going to forever attribute it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys know the story, right? And we want to talk a little bit tonight about some of the things that we believe and that that we have been using to help dentists avoid burnout.
Yeah.
Okay, that's me and Molly on our way to Nicaragua. How exciting is that? Molly, you want to come tell a couple stories for us?
Yeah, Molly, we decided that Buck involved his wife in this. We needed to involve Molly too. Molly likes it. Molly loves talking in front
Molly
of
is
crowds.
awesome.
I was voluntold to do this. So you heard about the explosion. Honestly, I know a lot of you guys, you went through 2020, office shut down. 2021, office explodes. 2022, office manager embezzles $80,000 from us. So yeah, when can we retire? So James and I, have had 5-year, 10-year conversations, and we had decided, I thought, that we're going to retire at 50. He turns 45 this year. 50 was kind of our goal. And so just a few weeks ago, I don't even know what we were talking about, but I just brought up something about retiring at 50, and he looks at me and he goes, "Why would I retire? I love what I do." And it's so true. Like, he literally loves it. It doesn't feel like work when you love what you do, and he has no desire to stop. So
I'll take credit for a lot of that.
yeah, it's him. I have to share him. If anyone understands what it's like to be married to him, it's him. But
Sorry, Molly, you got it rough.
Yeah. So anyway, Sarah and I love to go to their classes to just honestly to spend time with them. But we really enjoy listening to these guys. And the cool thing about it is we get to talk to the people that come into our office, and it's very personal. We do most of our lectures at a hotel, and then we go to our office, and he tells that story in the office that we created, which I think it's 12 ops. We have a whole dental side and then just a smile studio. But anyway, we get to meet these people, and it does take a lot of time. And there was one class in particular. We have 4 kids. Our youngest is 8. It was his first year of Little League this fall, and he hit a grand slam during a course. And unfortunately, James obviously missed it. I stayed the whole entire game until the very end, and I had our kids there, and I'm like, I don't think they're up to bat. I don't think he'll have a chance to bat, but if he does, please record it. And of course, he hits his first ever grand slam. So James tells a story in the course, and afterwards, I had a dentist come up to me, and he said, I just want to thank you for the sacrifice that you're making for him to be here, because it's changing lives, not just patients, but with dentists. And he said, I came to a Smile Trend course last year, and I didn't want to come. I was in a really bad place, but my wife, who's also a dentist, made me come. And it changed my life, not just with dentistry, but with my personal life. And I just want to thank you for that sacrifice you're making. So I think those are the 2 stories, right? Just, yeah.
Tell us some more, Molly. You're good. Keep going. You're better than us. Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, thank you, Molly. Thank you, Molly.
The point of that story, honestly, is like, it's a really beautiful thing that EA exists, because they're going to be able to reach doctors that need what this gives. And this is really powerful. Like, I don't know if you guys know how much work it takes to put on an event like this. It's an unbelievable amount of work, and I'm super grateful that I was invited to come be a part of this. And you guys are super lucky to know 2 guys like this. So Mike and I have a different reach, and we have a different kind of way of helping guys get out of their funk. And we're going to kind of share with you the Smile Trend mentality tonight of how we help guys get out of their funk.
Yeah, I mean, we sell a veneer course. I learned how to do a veneer course, but it's really so much more than that. Like she said, it's a community, and it's a lot of things. Like one of our big things that we talk about is abundance. We want to live in the world of abundance. If you think about how dentistry is, from the time that you're in undergrad, you're competing with everybody in there. There's only so many places. There's so many dental schools that are going to take you. I got rejected from so many because there was other people who were getting in. And the first day, or actually right before I opened my practice, I wanted to meet the dentists that were close to me. I went to the dentist directly across the street from me. And I'm like, hey, I'm Dr. Allen. I'm moving in right across the street. The first thing he says to me is, you can't move in there. I've already contacted my lawyers, my attorneys. They're going to get you out of here. You cannot be there. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And he'd been there for 20 years. He's like, there's not enough people in this area to support both of us, and blah, 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 blah. And like, it's this closed mindset, this scarcity mindset that most dentists have. And when you experience that over and over and over, you do end up practicing on an island because you don't trust any dentist. You don't like the vibe that they're giving off. And so living abundantly is a different world. And that's one of our main, you guys have your goals and your
Values.
Your values. Abundance is one of ours, is we want to have a community of people that support each other. For two different reasons, right? As dentists, we have our highs and we have our lows. The lows, who are you going to talk to your lows about? Are you going to run home and tell your spouse, oh yeah, I had the crappiest day in the office, just say, fine, go make dinner. They don't understand. Or when you deliver the most killer implant or the most killer veneer case or whatever it is, who are you going to tell? Who are you going to tell about that? Who understands? Your community of dentists will understand. And you guys have that here, which is a beautiful thing. And that's what we're trying to communicate.
I would say abundance is our number one value. Like it's our number one core value. And the reality is, like Mike was talking about, as a dentist, undergrad is crazy competitive. Nobody in your OChem class had an abundance mindset. They all wanted to get a higher grade than you because that meant they had a better chance of becoming a dentist or an MD or a chiropractor, PT, whatever it is. It doesn't exist in that OChem class. And then you get in, and day one, every single dude wants to be an orthodontist.
Yep. Everybody wants to specialize.
But they only get there by getting a better grade than you. And then you open you up to practice and have Mike's experience. And you're like, okay, it's...
Dentistry is fun.
Yeah.
I chose the right career, guys. All right.
Scarcity for life, I guess. Like it's so bred into it, it's not even funny, right? Yeah. So when dentists get a little bit of a taste of like abundance, it's the most refreshing thing in the world.
They salivate.
Dan, how much free marketing advice have I given you this entire weekend?
Free marketing advice?
Yes.
Well, it's cost them $20,000, but other than that.
Have I held anything back?
Oh, it's been great.
Nothing. Yeah. And that's how everything is at Smile Trend. We literally want every single person that comes to our course to go home and do a ton of veneers and to be super successful and just absolutely love their career.
Oh, and there's a female dentist who lives literally a block away from my office who is part of our Smile Trend community. She's trying to do the same thing as me. And I have her in my office shadowing me all the time. It's great. I don't care. You know, there's enough. The more high-end quality cosmetic dentistry she does, the more is going to be out in the Tucson area, the more people are going to see it and want it. And that's the mindset you have to have when you're doing this kind of stuff.
And how good is it for society as a whole when every dentist wants to share his best tactics and his best stuff and do the best treatment possible? It's way better for society as a whole. Like it's such a selfish thing to live in scarcity. It's unbelievably selfish.
Yeah, and so that like you guys, you're part of a community where you guys are all here collaborating for it's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. Finding your purpose. Let's talk about that for a minute. So James and I, like we said, we became part of a mastermind group of Brian Harris's probably 7 or 8 years. I don't even know when we started that. It was like 2016, 2017. And that kind of changed my mind. I worked at a community health center straight out of school, doing lots of extractions, lots of kids, and I got to do some ortho, which was really cool. And that's why I wanted to go there. I wanted to do orthodontics. I wanted to go to orthodontic school, but I had 3 kids out of school. I was like, forget that. I'm not going to any more school. And so something clicked in me, and I'm like, doing cosmetic dentistry is a beautiful thing. And so this is something that kind of clicked with us. And it's not only a beautiful thing because you make a lot of money, you get to, like people think you're cool, but it's all about the patient. It's all about the patient experience. And me and Buck were just talking about this. It's the confidence that you see these patients get afterwards. And so this is just a quick little video that just kind of shows like what we're lucky enough to do on a daily basis.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you.
Really good. That's really good. What? No way. I love it. Oh my God. It's crazy how small the change that is. It makes such a difference. So good.
Just striking a match, but it's hard to burn a memory.
So it's really easy in dentistry to just get sucked into like getting from point A to point B or point Z, whatever it is for you. And honestly, even with cosmetic dentistry, it's really easy to just worry about getting those in and making sure they're right and getting the cement cleaned up and get the bite checked and get them out so you can do your next consult. And dentistry is way better. I could actually take more patients per day than I currently do, but I wouldn't be able to tap into the human element of what I'm doing. Because I can tell you there's a lot of cosmetic dentists who just do veneers and they don't ever tap into this. Their production numbers are gigantic. They're so huge. And they've never seen a patient cry in their chair. Like, it takes time for you to connect to that patient to tap into the human element of what we do, because it's so huge. It's so gigantic.
And that's what gets us wanting to come back for more. I actually had experience this weekend. Like James says, he doesn't know when I'm working in his office, but for some reason, people like to fly into Phoenix. They have family there, and so they'll say, hey, can you see me in Phoenix? And James is nice enough to let me use his office, and sometimes I'll buy him a pair of shoes for it. So it works out good for both of us. And so I had this patient who flew in from South Carolina. She had been saving for this for a while, and I actually ended up giving her a small discount so that she could afford to do it. She wanted to do it. She was just in temper as she walks over to the mirror, just like that. It wasn't that big fancy mirror. And she turns around, she's just a quick look at herself, turns around to me in tears. Her husband's standing right there, mind you, almost tackles me. And I'm trying to film this like this the whole time, just so she doesn't see it. She tackles me. I was like, your husband's right there. She's like, oh, you're the one who works the magic. And it's not really me that works the magic. I have a team that helps me do it. But it's so fun to help people that need it and that have wanted it and have desired it. And so that's what we've tried to kind of tap into. Like this, look at this. You think that made a difference? She's a 22-year-old girl, tons of decay on her teeth, and she was super embarrassed. So we love doing this. And so this is what we teach at Smile Trend, is how to do this, but at an excellent, excellent level. It's not that hard to be excellent once you see it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I don't have incredible skills. There's nothing about me that's special except for I know what I'm looking for, and I can translate it to the patient's face. And so that's the beauty of it. And so we're doing a lot of this. We started doing a ton of cosmetic dentistry, and it's fun and it's great. But then there's always that moment when you're, with her it wasn't so much because she had some decay, and so we had to prep her. But there's that moment when you're seeing a younger patient who really, really wants veneers, and you're about to take that big, fat, black diamond burr to the tooth.
It's a big breath moment.
And you take a deep breath, you're like, should I be doing this? Like, how many of you, raise a hand, who here has cosmetic dentistry done? Has anybody? Just one? Sarah, you do. You raise your hand. Yeah. A few of you guys do. Do you want your spouses, do you want us to shave down your spouse's teeth to make them look that better? No, you don't want to do it. And so like that's, in our opinion, there's two things that are preventing people from getting cosmetic dentistry. First is the cost. Well, sorry, I can't help you there. Actually, what we do is more expensive. But
How many dentists in here have veneers?
just
One.
2, 3.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, me and
us
Mike.
two.
Not including me and Mike. One
Yeah.
dentist. We're all hypocrites.
Yeah. Oh, no, they're not cosmetic dentists. They're not hypocrites.
Yeah, but they market veneers in their offices.
If you market them, yeah, you might be. Unless
You're
you have
all
a fantastic
hypocrites.
smile. Yeah, you're pulling them out. You're pulling them out. That's fine. That's fine. We get that. We get that.
Only two.
Right? And so the second big gets in the way of them wanting to do veneers is that they don't want to shave their teeth, and I agree with that. And so
big
every
obstacles.
time I'm and James sees these high-end influencers who are 22, 23, 24, but they want a
Sometimes.
nicer smile. And so do you think he feels good about taking a bird a perfectly healthy tooth? No, he doesn't feel good about it. And so we've, in the last year and a half, kind of rethought the process a little bit. Instead of a reductive process, we've thought about, can we do this additive? Can we make things look good? Now, who here has heard of lumineers? We've all heard of lumineers, and what do you think of, what's the first thing you think of when you think of lumineers, Jared?
They're terrible. They're ugly. They're bulky. They're fake looking. All those things, and they don't last.
Yeah, you would be accurate in all of those. You would be very accurate. because, and I actually am not going to clown on Lumineers. I think Lumineers did a fantastic thing. Like, think about all the enamel that they saved. Instead of those patients getting their teeth shaved down, yes, they were ugly and they didn't fit, and maybe they broke because the occlusion was terrible, but they didn't shave the teeth, and that's good for the patient in the long term. So they actually saved tons and tons of enamel, if you think about it. And so they just didn't do it right. And so we have kind of rethought this process with me and James and a couple of labs that we work with. How can we do this but make it crazy, crazy high end? And we've kind of figured it out. I mean, it's not perfect, and nothing is perfect. And anytime you're going to do this, there is going to be somewhat of an aesthetic compromise. Let's just talk about it. So this is Chanel. So Chanel DMs me. Did she DM me or text me? She texted me, actually. She's friends of somebody who I've done their teeth, and she texted me this picture. And Janelle's got nice teeth. Like, those are not bad teeth. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's a few things that she hates about them.
But that's a smile that I think we'd all take a breath, right?
Yeah.
Put a big giant black burr on those teeth, and you're like,
Oh, did I mention that Chanel is probably one of the most known females in Southern Arizona, in Tucson, Arizona? Yeah, she's a big deal.
So doing her veneers is good for marketing.
It's great for marketing for me, so I want to do it, but do I want to shave these teeth down?
Rip that enamel off.
So she
marketing.
rip that. So yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, I would have just shaved all these. But so these are some composites that she had placed. She had chipping on those teeth for a while. And so these are some composites. And she wanted that replaced. She wanted things a little bit wider. And just in general, she's got kind of some staining from braces back in here. She can afford anything. Like, money is not an object for her. She can afford whatever she wants. And so I think I called James. I was like, James, what do we do? And so we talked about it. We talked through with the lab, and we're like, all right, we're going to do some no prep veneers. But the lab said, well, you can't do these no prep. Otherwise, they're going to be bulky. They're going to be opaque. They're going to be white. They're going to be ugly. So we have come up with a term that we have coined near no prep. And what that means is you have to do a slight enamelplasty in some areas to allow the veneer to fit better and to look better, essentially. And now you got to understand, whenever you're doing this, you are making some small aesthetic compromise. But how much are we talking about? Are we talking 10%? Or are we talking 50%? If it's 50%, maybe you need to do Invisalign or something else first. But if it's only 10%, then you probably don't notice it. The patient definitely doesn't notice it, and it still looks really, really good. So what do? So we did a try-in. So I called the lab. I said, hey, I took a scan on her, sent it out to the lab. I said, all right, this is Chanel. She wants a little bit of length. She wants them wider. And so we did this try-in. So this is, if anybody's ever done veneers, this is just a Lux Attempt try-in. And then we adjusted a little bit. Does that look better? Yeah, I think it looks better. Obviously, there's show-through here, because this is just made out of acrylic, basically. So there's some show-through there. It rides up on the gums a little bit high in the back. It was hard to figure out. It rides up on the gums and whatnot, but it is aesthetically better. And when we take a picture of her, it has a better curve right there. It's a little bit nicer. She immediately was like, yes, I want to do this. I said, okay, we're going to have to make some small changes to your teeth. She's like, well, how small? So once you start doing no prep veneers or near no prep veneers, this is what people start asking you. How much of my teeth are you going to have to shave? And am I going to get the little, who's seen turkey teeth, right? Who's seen those little spikes? And nobody wants turkey teeth. Nobody wants to see that. So I said, well, a little bit, but we don't have to shave much. And so this is what, I always like to show this. So this is showing it with half of it in. So half of the temporaries are in, so you can see what a change it makes. And patients love that. Like, oh, it actually is a big change. Because when they have no reference point, it's like, okay, this looks nice. But then when you take it off, they're like, oh, I see we've got nice embrasures, nice line angles, nice connectors, and we can go through that in another lecture. But so she liked that. So she's like, let's proceed. So this is what I shaved off of her teeth. You can see I took the composites off the front. Where else did I shave? You probably can't notice that much because it looks very similar to her natural teeth. But we did shave, so there's almost always a line angle there that if you just put the veneer over, it's going to be too bulky. And so you have to take a little bit off that. We took a little bit off the incisal edge because we wanted to add a little bit length there. We rounded some corners back here, but not much. So we did this. We did a little gum lift. I don't know if I put that in here or not. No, we didn't. And she went home like this. That's her natural teeth. She went home like that. She's not wearing temporaries. She lived like that for 3 weeks with the slightly modified teeth. Now, who here would be okay with their teeth looking like that underneath the veneers? It's not as scary, right? No sensitivity. No. Have you ever had a patient sensitive
None.
after this? I've done dozens of these.
Zero.
I've never had one patient be sensitive. Who here has done Invisalign, right? You take the buttons off with Invisalign the same way, and sometimes you'll reshape it just a little bit. It's the same thing. It's no different than that. Most of this I'm doing with a disc or a red diamond, and so it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it is a huge deal because then it allows the lab to do these. Now, who sees this and gets a little bit of pucker factor? Like, those are kind of thin.
You should.
Yes.
Mike, go back to that just for a second. Okay. So in all honesty, go back one more picture. You're asking a lot from your lab to take this and make it super pretty. It's way, way, way easier for your lab to take those teeth prepped. They have all the room in the world. And there's absolutely gonna be some, like when Mike shows you the final here, you guys probably won't see it, but there's gonna be some things that probably could have been a little bit prettier if you'd have prepped those teeth. And the trade-off there, if it's really small, is the best trade-off ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting to note too that she was thrilled. We didn't numb her. I even did a gum lift on her, but I just used some of the best topical ever, and we just used a laser. And when she realized that she didn't have to get numb, like that was a total mind change for her. And she was like, "This is the best thing ever." And so, like that just made the whole appointment significantly easier. So this is how she went home. She was totally fine. The lab sends me these, and yes, they're thin. Now, they're not really see-through. When they're wet, they are slightly see-through, but they're not like ridiculously see-through when you actually see them up against the teeth.
They're probably not as thin as this picture makes them look.
Yeah, but there is some thin areas. If you look right there, that distal facial area of that canine, that's crazy thin right there. This whole tooth is crazy thin right there. I mean, we're probably talking 0.3, 0.4 millimeters thick, so that's very, very thin. Now, who was taught to prep Emax at 1.5 millimeters thickness on the facial, right? All of you guys are. All you guys were. So how do we get away with this? Any ideas? What's that? This is not Emax. No, this is feldspathic, but we do use Emax actually. We've done quite a few cases with Emax. Emax is actually strong facially up to 0.5 millimeter. And so, exactly. So we're bonding this to enamel. So this is a stronger bond than you're going to get with a traditional veneer to the tooth. So this is significantly stronger. Do you have a question? No. Okay. And so yeah, I see this. I get a little bit nervous to deliver it, but it's going to be okay. The lab. So this is what it looks like on the model. You have to work with a crazy talented lab when you're doing this type of work. You can't send this out to Dandy or they won't do it. They'll just laugh at you.
Most labs will
laugh at you.
They'll absolutely laugh if you send them that scan or impression of this lady's teeth.
Yeah. They'll say more reduction. We need more reduction.
Even cosmetic labs, like just do veneers, most of them are laughing at you if you send them that case.
We know 2 labs who will do this, maybe 3 with Rigo, maybe 4 with Hojan, but there's not many labs that will do this type of work. And so we're paying, this is $700 a unit for this.
If it's feldspathic.
Yeah, this is feldspathic. If it's not feldspathic, it's $500 a unit. So we can't sell these for these are not $900 veneers. These are $2,500 a piece veneers we're talking here. So anyways, this is what they look like when they get back from the lab. This is a cool shot. So you can see half and half right there. But again, just like a shout out to the lab. Look how gorgeous. Do those look like real teeth or do they look like fake chiclets? Do those look like what you think lumineers were looking like? Those look nothing like lumineers. Those look like real teeth. And that's what you wanted. And that's why people come to see me and James. They don't come to see us because they want the big white reflective surface teeth. They want something that's going to look like a real tooth in their mouth. So we tried it in half and half. This is a little washed out. I hate projectors. But we tried it in half of it. We tried in all of it. And it just turned out phenomenal. And that looks significantly better. There was almost zero compromise to her tooth understructure. And so the question that somebody's going to ask me is, well, how long are they going to last and how strong are they, right? That's what you're thinking is, how strong are they? Well, let's say one breaks. Let's say she does something stupid and one breaks. So what?
What's underneath there?
What's underneath? There's her tooth underneath there. It's not going to be a little stub. It's going to be a cracked veneer that she's going to come see me, and we're going to replace it in like 3 days.
It's inconvenient. It's not nothing.
Yeah.
But it's different than if you had, because the first cosmetic course I ever took, like a couple years out of school, I was taught to do, our being conservative was save the cingulum. That's how, somebody say my name? Somebody said my name, right?
It's the ghost that's going to come in and close the doors.
our being conservative in that course was save you the cingulum, which means you rip all the enamel off except this little nub on the back of your tooth. That's how I was taught. And truthfully, that's how I did veneers the first probably 5,
Same.
6, 7 years.
The labs taught us how to prep because they wanted tons of space to do what they wanted.
Those never break.
No. The tooth
unless
breaks.
the tooth breaks.
The tooth will break in that situation. The veneer won't break. The veneer is strong. It's like just like your zirconia crowns. You're like, well, zirconia is crazy strong. It's never going to break. Well, what fails in that? The tooth fails in that situation, not the zirconia crown. So take your pick. Would you rather have the crown fail or would you rather have the tooth fail? If you're an oral surgeon, you'd rather have the tooth fail because you stick an implant in there and it's much more profitable for you.
So there's a lot of ins and outs of no prep veneers that you kind of need to know. Like abfractions, they're pretty much 100% no-go for us. And there's a lot of little things you need to know, like where you need to reshape the teeth, when to do them, when not to do them, all those things. But being able to offer no prep veneers expands your potential veneer patient base by like 3x.
So this is a dentist who came to me because she saw that we were doing them, and she's like, I don't want my teeth drilled. I don't want my teeth drilled at all. And so she came in, and this was her teeth before. This is her teeth after we prepped them. There's not a big difference there. There really isn't. I can't remember what we did to them. There's really not much done there. And then those are the try-in. We call them Lux veneers. It's just a fancy name. Doesn't really mean anything. But so that's how she came in.
It means everything, Mike.
It does mean everything. It's all marketing, right? So this is how she came in, and this is with the try-in. This is the try-in. So she wanted things to look a little bit nicer, and I think they did. We filled her out a little bit.
Game changer.
Game changer.
How many of you would do that if you knew you could do it without shaving your teeth?
Yeah. Significantly
Some
more.
of you would consider it.
Some of you are considering it in your head right now. I can tell. And so again, the ceramics, I mean, they just do a beautiful job with these ceramics. These ones are actually Emax. This is Emax.
Our ceramists are the magic.
Yeah.
Mike and I aren't the magic.
No, we don't do anything
Because honestly,
special.
like, not only do those look better than lumineers used to look, we can all acknowledge that. Those look better than most prepped teeth after they get veneers.
Most.
And these unbelievably talented ceramists have figured out how to make it look really pretty. And they've,
So
yeah, go ahead.
I'll just go through this real quick. I mean, again, the same thing. No big deal. And then with way too much lipstick on. James, how many tubes of lipstick do you have in your office?
I have several.
Yes.
I have quite a few.
How many for your patients? How many for you?
All patients.
Yes. And then this is great. You get patients send you photos all the time about how happy they are. Now, so we started teaching this, right? Or we started doing this, and then we're like, all right, can we make this predictable enough that we can teach other dentists how to do this? And people think that we're special or something like that, and we're not. We're really not that special.
Not
and so
at all.
we came up with a formula that we can teach other dentists to do this, and it's been proven. Now, at any given course, say we'll have 30 to 40 people. There's going to be like the 3 or 4 gunners.
Yep,
who are
they
gonna,
wanted to be orthodontists.
They're going to listen to everything we said at the course. They're going to buy every product that we recommend that they go buy, and they're going to do their first case within a month or two. And then you have the middle of the ground. There's usually 10 or 15 of those that are like, all right, I'm going to do most of what you do, but then they have little issues, and some of them call us to get those issues resolved, and some of them are like, okay, I'm never going to do that again because it doesn't work. And then you have like the 4 or 5 that just never ever want to try it because it looks too difficult. But the people who are the gunners have proven that this is what they can do. This is Dr. Joyce Kang about 3 or 4 weeks after taking the course. She not only bought the course, or she not only followed it, used the same labs that we're doing, she bought the camera that we used because she wanted photos that looked just like ours.
The camera, the flashes, the lens, the entire setup.
$3,500 worth of camera equipment just so that she could get that because she wants to start marketing herself as the go-to dentist in her area for no prep veneers.
And she's becoming that.
Yeah, she absolutely is becoming that. This is a guy who's a better dentist than me. Does way better veneers than me.
Do you guys know Rob Soto?
You guys who? Yeah.
He's a way better
He is amazing.
dentist than us.
And he calls us up and he's like, I want to come to your class. We're like, we're not worthy. You can't come. And he shows up and he's like, I've done hundreds and hundreds of cases, if not thousands. And I've never done a no prep case before. He's like, I didn't think it could be done. I thought it was going to be ugly. I thought it was going to be bulky. And now, like, I would say almost a third of his cases are no prep. Yep. And this is just one of them. And it's beautiful. It I mean, would that look better had he prepped it? Maybe a little bit. I mean, I can see a couple of little things that would be annoyances.
It would have. It would have, for sure.
There's some angles that are a little bulky on there. But
And even the color would have been more uniform, left to right. I could probably list 5 or 6 things that would have been better if he'd have prepped the enamel off those teeth like he was in the past.
But is it worth it to the patient?
That is absolutely stunning. That's a 9.9. That's a terrific smile.
Right. This is a great application for no prep veneers with those little peg laterals that you don't want to do on your teenage kid. You don't want to prep veneers on the kid. And so just do a no prep veneer on it. If you have a lab that can do this type of work that can color match this well, you do no prep veneers when they're 12, and then they don't have to go through their teenage years with really ugly teeth or crappy bonding that falls off and discolors all the time, because that happens all the time. This is a great application for it. And that was another, these are all students of ours, the cases. This is a case that was pulled up in our lecture by a third party who was lecturing with us, and James looks at me, he's like, is that your case? I'm like, no, is that your case? We didn't know whose case it was, because she bought the camera, she uses the same lab as ours, and we couldn't tell who it is. Now, there's a little bit of trickiness in this case here that we're gonna just tease you on a little bit. And so you can see they did the top, no prep. They also did the bottom, no prep. Now, that's another level of doing lowers with no prep. Imagine doing a full mouth rehab and not removing any enamel. Like, that's not what the prosthodontists are teaching you. They're teaching you that you have to shave down all of the enamel off the teeth to put crowns on it, because there's your retention. But with the materials we have nowadays, the retention is there with the materials. And so we can open the bite, which most of the time you need to do anyway. Most of us are closed. I'm looking around at here, and everybody's got a short and lower third. And so all of us could stand to a little bit to be opened up. And then it not only gives you this result, but I'm going to go to this next slide for the ladies.
That's a powerful picture. That top picture, the bottom one is too, but that top picture, like you see that picture and you just get it. You're like, oh, yeah. That's a really, when Mike and I started posting a picture like that 2 years ago, whatever,
year and a half.
That was one of the most impactful pictures we've ever posted on Instagram.
Yeah. But you also kind of get this result. Guess what procedure this patient had done?
Facelift.
Yeah, there's no facelift there.
It looks like a facelift.
It looks like a facelift. All she had done was upper and lower no prep veneers. Opened her bite up about 5 millimeters.
So the distance between her chin and nose in these two pictures is different. They're farther apart in this picture, which
once the muscles relax,
decreases that crease you get in the corner of your mouth.
And this is why my wife wants me to do her lowers in the next couple of weeks. She thinks she has marionette lines, but the marionette lines have disappeared on this lady. This is not our case. This is one of our students' cases. It's amazing. So this is just little things that we tease you with. Now, we're not telling you that you need to come and do no prep veneers. This is not our goal here. Our goal is that you need to find something that does this for you. And this does it for me. How many phone calls have you got from me after I've delivered a case? I'm like, James, this is the best thing ever. Like, doing these no prep veneers is so good. And how many DMs have you got from our students saying, I feel like I didn't do enough. I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like this isn't a real thing. Like, I'm not living real life because I'm doing no prep veneers. And I feel like I should have just spent 3 hours shaving teeth down, but instead I got almost just as good results. And the patient is happy. The patient never got numb. I'm happy because it looks amazing, and my pockets are a little fatter.
So our goal with no prep literally is to not let it become Lumineers 2.0. We don't want it to be just done by every dentist who wants to be doing more veneers, and they just start popping these things on. They do it on all the wrong patients, and they don't understand near no prep. They don't understand a lot of things. And it could quickly become Lumineers 2.0. And literally one of our goals now is to try to not let that happen.
Yeah. So that's all the clinical you're going to get for this week. We're not done yet, but this is all the clinical. Does anybody have any clinical questions? Good, save them for later.
They have so many questions. They have so many questions.
There's so many questions. Yeah. But anyways, this is something that inspires us. This has enabled me to practice significantly more inspired because I love doing it. Patients love getting it. And maybe that's something different for you. Maybe that's root canals on wisdom teeth. Maybe that's implants. Maybe that's full arches and really getting those patients to smile. But this is something cool. James doesn't know I put this in there, but this is a patient that James saw on Saturday. And this is the kind of cool stuff that you don't get when you're just doing MODs all day long. Tell us a little bit about this, James.
Yeah, this is a guy who came in and kind of a crazy situation, but we ended up having to like really, really rush a case, and it was like a color matching issue, like super, super hard case. And we kind of loved this guy. He's a super good guy, and it had to be done in like 3 days. And our lab never rushes cases.
Never. I've never.
We were able to
seen
get
that.
it. We were able to get him rush it because I was going to be in Nicaragua all week, and my assistant and I met him on Saturday and cemented those 2 veneers, and thank heavens they looked really great. The color was perfect, and we never get tips as dentists ever. It's my first tip in 15 years of dentistry. And he wrote us both this big long. He actually gave $250 in a card to me, to my assistant, and one just said ceramist on it. So it was pretty cool. It was a good feel good.
No, and that's what it is. It's the feel good moment. And you know he made it. Who handwrites anything? I mean, that is love right there. That is true love because of something small that James did. It's the best. And this is actually really interesting because you got that the same day I got this. This is a text from like probably the hardest case I've ever done. And it just says, also want to just really thank you and Jose. Jose is my assistant. Really love them. And this is probably a billionaire. I'm thinking he probably has billions. He's got 40 supercars. And it's like, they look great, they feel great, and more importantly, they feel really, really good. I can't thank you enough. And just goes on to offer pretty much everything to my office and my kids and whatever. Just a really good guy. And totally unexpected, just like James's was. But like Sarah, we were in Pottery Barn when I got this, and I'm sitting in the corner like goofing out on how good this felt, right? So it was just, and then I ended up stealing a table that night. That's another story. I'll tell you later. But it just feels really good to do something that patients love. I never got this for a single crown on tooth number 2. I never got this for doing an MOD or an extraction, but unless they were in major pain. But I get this when you change somebody's life, and no prep veneers can do that for you, or for some people anyway.
Veneers in general.
Yeah, veneers
Not
in
everybody's a candidate for no prep veneers, but
Yeah.
just small micros in general can be really powerful.
Yeah, shaving teeth is not a crime. Prepping teeth is not a crime, but we want to avoid it.
Please
when
don't
we
think
can.
that we're saying that.
No, we're not at all.
It's not a crime. Like it, we still prep teeth for
every
veneers.
week. Every week we prep
Yeah.
teeth. So, all right, James, you're up.
Okay,
Almost
this
done.
is fun to say in a room like this because like there's a bunch of superhuman people in this room,
Yeah.
right? Like this room is a bunch of ballers.
Yeah.
I've been so impressed by the doctors in this room. So I love that I get to tell you guys that I have a superpower. Isn't that cool? And I want to tell you all about it. So unfortunately, it's not a superpower that would qualify me to be part of the Avengers.
James is jacked.
It's not that kind of superpower. Gosh, look at that. I'm ready for my show, Jared. I'm ready.
We actually kind of committed to each other that we're doing one, so we'll see when's the next one.
Yeah, unfortunately, a superpower doesn't allow me to be like an Avenger. So don't expect me to see there soon, but it is a really, really cool superpower. And that's kind of what we want to close on tonight is talking about that just a little bit. Ooh, that didn't show up very well. That needs to be black. Having a spouse supposedly spouse. Having a spouse is I can't say that now. Mike, do you want to read that?
No, having a spouse that supports and believes in you is a superpower.
It is an absolute superpower. I want to tell you guys another really quick story. Molly and I had only been married for less than a year, I think, and we flew out. I, unlike most of the doctors in this room, am not exceptionally brilliant and don't have a photographic memory. And so my grades were just like barely good enough to get me into dental school. Like my DAT, my grades, they were all just like right there in that gray area somewhere. I only got a couple interviews. And so one of them was Ohio State. We flew out and I distinctly remember the night before kind of getting my stuff ready. And I remember Molly telling me, you know what? You're going to blow them away tomorrow in that interview. There's absolutely no way they don't take you in the dental class. And I like felt that. And I'm like, holy cow, that's really powerful. And then at every step along the way, we go to buy a business. And she's like, I know you can do this. We got this. We'll do it together. You're gonna crush it. And then, cosmetics and then Smile Trend. And every step along the way, my wife has just believed in me and I believe her. And that's really, really powerful, right? It's super, super powerful. But that's kind of not the point of the superpower thing. Oh, do I have a clicker mic? Having a blank that supports you and believes in you is a superpower. Having a boss that believes in you is a superpower. Having a team that believes in you is a superpower. Having a partner that believes in you is an absolute superpower. So I want you to take that another level and give some thought to this tonight when you're leaving. Who needs me to believe in them? Who needs me to believe to be their superpower? Is it my kids? Probably. Is it your spouse? Probably. There's so many people that need so badly for you to be their superpower. So I would love for everybody to just make that one of their WTMs. Let's kind of make a list of the people who need you to be their superpower and think about how you can do that. Think about how you can start speaking belief into those people.
And it'll come back and benefit you exponentially. The more people that you connect with on a positive level, it comes back to bless your life a hundredfold. Absolutely. Sarah, you're my superpower too.
So this is the third part of what we believe at Smile Trend can help get doctors out of funk. The third one is find your purpose.
Yep.
And absolutely every single one of us, we're all in a position to impact people and be their superpower. And part of that is finding your purpose.
Yep.
When you're part of your purpose is to be somebody else's superpower, that's really powerful.
Yep. So that's all we got for you guys tonight. You guys have been great. I didn't see anybody fall asleep. A couple of people were dozing a little bit. But if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them. But yes.
I got a couple questions.
Ask away.
Okay, first question. Can you explain why that little kid in that painting has a mustache?
Some of us did not mature as fast as others, and clearly he was one that did.
Precocious.
So I'm a pediatric dentist.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of kids that fracture 8 or 9.
Yep.
They're 11, 10, 11, 12,
Yep.
whatever. So at some point they'll need a veneer,
Yep.
a crown,
Yep.
something like that. How could you do this where there's less prep and a blade?
Was it Rick that just did that?
Yeah, he did just do that.
Yeah, we had one of our students just do that like a couple weeks ago.
It kind of depends on the situation. You might have to put a no prep veneer on 8 and 9.
Yeah, you might have to do 2.
Or maybe 7 through 10. Like it totally depends on the situation, but at the very least, you could.
The cool thing about it now
some-
too is if you're paying attention to materials, like there's these composite printed veneers that are coming around. The Midas from Sprint Ray is one of those things that it's just a quick little 3D printed veneer. And while the longevity isn't there, like it's not going to be good. Like I would never put them on my adult children or my spouse. But for a kid to get through school and look a significant amount better, I think that might be a great option for it. It's significantly stronger than just a freehanded composite. It's going to look nicer than a freehanded composite. The limitations right now are the colors of it. Like the colors, it's pretty much got like 3 different base level colors, and you can add stain to it and whatnot, but it's not something that you would want to charge $2,500 a unit for. It's something that's maybe more in the $800 to $900 a unit.
But that's not there yet. That technology is just not there yet.
Well,
It will be
I think
soon.
for a pediatric patient, it might be dang close because they don't have the high aesthetic demand. Well, it'll look really, really nice, but it may, but
If
you also
they know
know
it's
it's not going
like-
to last forever.
So
Yeah.
what if they're 13, they finish up ortho,
Yeah.
something like that.
So if they've finished ortho and you can talk to their orthodontist to have them just set that back just a hair, porcelain all the way. And no prep. You're no prepping that porcelain. Maybe just take a disc around some line angles. I feel totally confident in that because you don't want that.
But when they're 18, they're going to have recession and they're not going to like it. So they just have to know. I would only do that if their teeth are quite ugly and they're
Yeah.
super insecure about it. And the parents are okay paying for it again when they're 18 and they have
Right.
2 millimeters, 1.5 millimeter recession.
Right.
So, but it does open up some doors. I love that you're thinking about that way.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could even look at partial veneers. Like I did 10 partial veneers on somebody where you're not covering up the whole tooth. And it was a like marketing goldmine for me.
Yeah. There's
So
a lot of
think
little things
outside the
out there.
box, but don't prep that tooth down to a crown.
Yeah.
That tooth's coming out at some point.
Text us a
if you
photo.
prep that down to a
We'll
crown.
get it out to our lab and see what they could do. That's actually a really good application for this is kids that you just don't want to drill their teeth down.
Yeah, or that kid with the peg laterals.
Yeah,
like
peg laterals
I'd
are
have
huge.
no issue doing those peg laterals on a 13-year-old with no prep veneers.
Yeah.
And tell the parents these aren't going to look as good.
Yeah, in
Halfway
5
through
years.
high school, come back and see me, and we'll replace them at probably a little bit of a discount.
No. Cool.
Good question. Such a good question. Any other questions before we hang it up?
Do you I saw on your Instagram you use ergonomic loops.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
They've changed the game for my neck and back. Completely changed the game. I'll
Especially
be able
as
to
tall
practice
as
for
he
a
is.
lot more years because of ergonomic loops. Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
How often do you do your course and what not?
We have 3 courses, and we only have 1 of each of those scheduled right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much we'll probably do 1 every month to month and a half is probably what we're averaging right now. It just depends on what level you want to get in. Our level 1 talks about like just base. That's where what Jared went to is like the basic. This is how to do really, really high-end cosmetic dentistry, prepping teeth. We tease no prep a little bit. And our level 2 is all about like what we showed you here today, but way in depth on how to do it and what materials to use and what labs to use. And that's our level 2, and we have 1 of those in April. And then our level 3 talks about opening bites, full mouth rehab with no preparation, overlays, onlays, veneer lays, whatever you want to call them. And that's in May, sometime 16th or something like that.
Mike,
So we don't always require 1, but we do require 2 before 3, if that makes sense. Because there's just too much, there's a lot of overlap between 1 and 2, but there's not much overlap between 2 and 3 because 3 is so dang in depth that we need a full 2 days for that. We
and
probably
a lot
need
of
5.
a lot of doctors, we don't let them take 2 without 1. It just depends
Yeah.
on the doctor. Like if you've only done a handful of veneer cases,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be jumping into no prep.
Yeah.
There's
I
so many
say
things that
if
go
you
to
haven't
your
done 12, then you should probably do our level 1 class. And the cost-wise, our level 1 is $4,500, and our level 2 and 3 is $5,500.
Mike, let's make a code for EA.
Yeah, we can give it.
Let's make an EA
we'll
code.
get you guys a discount code.
WTM25.
WTM25. There you
That's
go.
going to be the code.
WTM.
WTM 25.
Can you text that to Ashley? WTM25. Yeah. No, that's legit. Cool, guys.
Any other questions?
No. Everybody go to bed.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Oh,
for staying
wait,
up
we got
late
one up
tonight, you
front. We
guys.
got one up
Appreciate you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You had one picture up, and this is my oral surgeon line.
Yeah.
One picture you had up there, I think it was of the gal that you saw that was famous and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a mole there.
There's a mole there. You don't like the look of it? Okay. Well, I know she sees a super famous dermatologist. And so, like, I know for a fact that she goes to see her. So I think she's probably okay, but I don't know if we brought that up or not. But it's smart move. Come. Yeah, you want to? Can we excise it right here? Everybody, grab a T-shirt, please. I don't want to take them
Yes,
all home.
please grab a T-shirt.
And they're nice and thick. And if you want one and don't get it, then just text us. Thank you,
Thank you guys.